Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today from McFarlane Toys in their DC Multiverse line, we are featuring the McFarlane Gold Label Collection Midnighter. I purchased this at my local Target. I believe it is a Target exclusive. So if you're unfamiliar with Midnighter, he's a older character that debuted, I believe, in the mid-90s. The comic book was published through Wildstorm. He appeared in The Authority alongside other superheroes like Apollo and Jenny Sparks. So if you're familiar with that era of like comic books, that Wildstorm era, like with Wildcats, Gen 13, Midnighter, he kind of occupies that same universe. So what we have here is Midnighter, and the figure is actually a repaint of the McFarlane Future State Dark Detective Batman figure, with some new pieces and some retooling. On the back we have a nice illustration of Midnighter. He represents the DC classics. I believe they reintroduced the character into the DC universe many years ago, much like other characters like Jenny Sparks. Nice illustration here done by artist Brian Hitch. You might be familiar with his work on Marvel's Ultimates. And prior to that, he actually did work on The Authority. So pretty cool illustration. And let's get started. So like I stated not too long ago, this figure is actually a repaint of the Future State Dark Detective action figure, which came out maybe like a year and a half ago. Alright, so as usual, you get the trading card depicting the same artwork that was on the package and also the DC display base. And we have Midnighter looking pretty snazzy. Alright, I'm already noticing a couple of things that are bothering me. It's just like nitpicky stuff. It's nothing anything too crazy. So as you'll see, it's nice with a lot of the more recent McFarlane figures. They're supplying us with extra hands, which is nice because then you can allow the characters to pose differently, emote differently. If you want to get them in battle stances as opposed to holding their weapons. And in terms of weapons, he comes with these two clubs over here, and here is the figure. The one thing I'm kind of taking a little bit of issue with, it's not a deal breaker. This is something you see across the board with other action figures as well, is that the coat doesn't match the sleeves. From a distance, you'd swear it's all the same color, but upon closer inspection, you can see his sleeves is almost like a black, whereas the coat's like a very dark, almost like navy blue. But for me, it's forgivable. It's just one of those kind of things where, it would have been nice if it was a little bit truer to the actual sleeve color. I don't think black's a color that's very difficult to emulate. Alright, so for now, I'm just going to leave the accessories in the tray. We're just going to look at the figure. So despite the fact that this figure is pretty much reusing the Dark Detective body, I was excited about it just because of what this figure represents. For me, I'm kind of hoping that this figure is kind of like a preview of things to come. I was a big fan of Wildstorm comic books. Back in the 90s, before it was purchased by DC. They published such fantastic titles, like The Authority, Planetary, Gen 13, of course, Wildcats, which was the origins for characters like Grifter and Zealot and Spartan. So for me, it's cool that we're getting Midnighter, and I'm hoping it, due time, it'll open the floodgates for more Wildstorm-centric characters. You can't have a Midnighter without an Apollo, and then you need a Jenny Sparks, and then next thing you know, you'll get more Wildcats figures, besides just Grifter. So for me, I'm hoping this is just the start of you know, a much more expanded roster into like the deep cuts of the DC universe that are beyond, you know, the usual like Superman and Batman and Justice League fare. Wonderful looking action figure. The head sculpt's nice. It almost looks like, you know, Batman minus the horns. Which could be the case, you never know. Maybe if they're working off a 3D file, maybe they just modified a Batman head. But Midnighter to begin with, it was always kind of, not that he was a knockoff of Batman, but he kind of shared similar thematic tones. So it's really well done. I love the wrinkles on the brow, or the patterning. Very sharp, clean sculpting on the chin strap and the nose. If you've handled the Dark Detective figure, a lot of this is very familiar territory. The difference is that you'll see that the sleeves here are actually fully rolled down, whereas Dark Detective, his sleeves are rolled up and he had the gauntlets. And you'll notice, much like Batman, and this is actually a real Midnighter thing, instead of having the 3 fins, Midnighter has the 3 straps on the sleeves. So it's kind of like echoing, you know, Batman in a way. And instead of having a cape like Batman, Midnighter has the trench coat. The color choices are nice. The black and the kind of like off-white, almost, you know, very faint gray. But, you know, for the most part, like 85% of this figure is, you know, just reused. If you're a fan of either version of the Dark Detective, whether it was the sleeveless one or the one with the coat, I think you'll feel very much at home with this figure. And it's a nice figure to add to your collection. Like I said, it's nice that we're expanding a little bit beyond the standard DC universe and getting some more deep cut characters, you know, especially if you're like a longtime comic book fan. It's nice that, you know, after all these years, you're finally being rewarded with characters from, you know, from yesterday. Articulation standard, you know, nothing too wild. It's just pretty much the same as the Dark Detective. So it's a great figure overall. Like I mentioned, for me, this was purchased at Target, and I believe it's a Target exclusive. It falls under the gold label banner, so it's nice. So overall, excellent figure. If you failed to pick up the Dark Detective from a few years ago, and you want this body, you know, it's nice. It's really worth picking up. I enjoy this a lot. It's pretty snazzy. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.